In brightest day,
In blackest night.
You have failed this city.
We are the future, Charles, not them.
You have no idea what you're dealing with.
Shakespeare in the Park.
Avengers! Assemble.
All right, welcome to Rogue One Radio. This is episode 17. I am your host, Steve, and with me is Joey.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we have a special treat for you. We have another special guest in the studio with us today. We have Silky Dave.
Silky.
So, I don't know how special this is, but what was special was that dope-ass opening, if I do say so myself.
Which was put together by Dave.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that Steve had to usurp me because obviously it's his show, but I ended it originally with the beginning of the Smallville theme.
I loved that.
And
I don't know why we changed that.
Because I wanted it to end with Avengers Assemble.
I don't. I want it. Put it back. Fix this.
Anyway.
You're worse than Brian Michael Bendis.
So today... You're fired.
Go on. You were saying...
You are fired.
No.
So today we are going to be talking about Superman in all his forms and iterations. And then we have some news that we'll be talking about, and then of course we will do our top 5 list later in the show, and it will be our... What's that?
Which I'm making up as I go along.
That's what we do. Is that not?
Well, some of us actually prepare.
Who?
Me.
What a nerd. Look at the nerd wearing glasses.
Okay.
Wait.
So, before we get into our news segment, we are going to take our first music break. This first song is actually a song that isn't even released yet. We just got it from a friend of ours.
You're telling me this is a world premiere?
This is a world premiere.
This is shocking, everybody. I did not know this was happening.
Yes.
I never know any of the music he's playing. I just kind of come in and listen to some music while we talk about nerd stuff.
So this is from a band. They're actually friends of Dave and I's. They're called They Stay Dead. They're from here in Oklahoma City. They put out, 2 or 3 EPs?
They put out 2 EPs and a single in the early to mid-aughts. It was probably the mid. It was more the mid-aughts. And then basically disappeared. The bass player, Dave, went on to do a stint in Screeching Weasel, which then he left Screeching Weasel to do a stint in Black Flag. And then the drummer he was in Wretch Like Me, wasn't he?
Yes.
And they both have toured with A Vulture Wake. So are probably rattling off a bunch of names the majority of you don't know. These are
probably not.
These are good bands. I would say if I'm going to suggest any one of those bands to check out, I would say A Vulture Wake is the one.
That's a good one. So these guys have a new EP that is coming out, scheduled to come out the end of the month. The name of the EP is Regression, and this is actually the opening track from said EP, and it is called Shiny Things.
Never so much
All right, that was Shiny Things from They Stay Dead from their upcoming album Regression.
I'm sorry, sir. I think that's an EP.
You're right, it is an EP.
And if you want to hear more of their music, head over to theystaydead.bandcamp.com. You can also find them over on the Spotifys, and I'm pretty sure they're on iTunes or Apple Music or whatever the heck it's called now. But yeah, it's a fantastic band. Really, and nice guys, super nice guys. So
Yeah.
Go over there, throw them a couple bucks if you can. That would be awesome.
All right. So we've got a few pieces of news. It was kind of news light this week, but we do have some things to talk about. There is a rumor, so this isn't news, this is a rumor, that the Warner Brothers is going to reboot Justice League with a film entitled Justice League Rebirth. So if you listen or you read comic books, you know that DC had their Rebirth event that started. How long has it been out?
2016.
So it was the one that fixed the problem that was New 52.
Well,
okay.
Sort of. I brought the issue with me, the Rebirth special, because it's so good. Before I actually bought the physical issue, I read it online in probably not a legitimate way, but that doesn't matter because I have purchased it since then. Anyway, I'm reading it at work. Or I'm sitting at the customer service desk. I work in a library, right? And I'm reading this, and I get to the end, and I literally start crying. The moment where one character recognizes another lost character was heart-wrenching.
Yeah. Oh, was it
Yeah.
That was... yeah.
But yeah, so it's interesting. I heard about this rumor as well, but then I saw something else that said the rumor was not accurate. So it's so hard with rumors.
Yeah.
And generally CBR that's my kind of go-to.
Yeah, mine too.
Site. And the one thing I find super frustrating on a little side, sometimes you find these videos on YouTube where people are like, news breakdown, like David Ayer says Jeff Johns is a horrible person or something, and I'm looking in the description, I'm like, where are you getting this? And I'll start listening to it, I'm like, you're not citing sources.
Right.
Who are your sources?
Yeah.
And
themselves.
That's bad news.
that's not news. It's just a sad state of journalism in the world.
But according to the... so the rumor is based on something called DCEU Mythic.
Yeah, that sounds legit.
And kind of like, what's that one, Cosmic News?
Cosmic Book News.
Yeah.
Don't take, ladies and gentlemen, seriously, do not take anything from that website seriously.
To me, I kind of equate Cosmic Book News to like The Onion.
No, I don't think it's trying to be satire. I think they're trying to be a legitimate news site.
Are they? Because everything I read, I'm like, that's funny.
Right. Well, so that's their shtick, and occasionally I think they get something right, but 99% of the time it's crap.
Yeah.
But so a lot of these sites, you have that, and then you have Heroic Hollywood, and I've heard the guy who runs that on other shows, and he seems like a pretty decent dude. But half of the stuff on there is, I don't know, so and so is playing what or blah blah blah, and it's fan art, and they're turning it into clickbait. I'm like, this is gross.
But then I see stuff like that, and it's like, this is good. This might be real. So that might just be me.
Yeah, no, because you're falling for the clickbait.
Yeah, as a Gen Z, I'm just like, yeah.
So according to this rumor, it's not going to have any connection to the 2017 Whedon Justice League or the forthcoming Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League.
I'm so excited about that.
I am looking forward to seeing that. Yeah.
No more of this.
Yeah.
It made me cry, but not in a good way.
Okay, so quick aside. I'm going to derail us a lot, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize.
That's
kind of what we do.
Let's talk about Justice League for a moment. Because I don't know if...
I was thinking of doing a Justice League episode.
And then he fans it out.
Well, I mean, you could do
on the movie.
Yeah, on the movie. Okay. Yeah. So I might not be here for that. So I'll just give it a couple.
Maybe we'll Skype you in for that one because you don't get. Dave lives several miles away from us, and he doesn't get here. It's a rough trip.
I drove 45 minutes to get here today.
That's a lot of
Okay, so it's not that rough a trip,
Yeah,
but it's
not that bad.
45.
Yeah.
But yeah, Justice League it's one of those movies that like, and if we do the Justice League episode, we'll probably get even more in depth on this, but it's the movie that you wanted to like, but then you saw it and there was just like
Nothing likable about it at all.
It was just a dumpster fire in some ways, but it had its moments.
No, it didn't.
So I see. I disagree. I literally wrote a review of it for my website a few years ago, and
OklahomaLefty.com.
Exactly.
Check
Thank
it
you.
out.
I literally, by the time I wrote the review, I'd watched it 5 times. And,
I'm so sorry for you.
But by the 6th time I came around, because I was getting angry. Like, time 5 I was watching it, I was literally angry. And the next time I watched it, I was like, you know what? There's actually some decent stuff in here.
There is.
There
really is.
The thing about Justice League, the casting is phenomenal. Say what you will about Zack Snyder, but overall, his casting is on point. Look at Watchmen. The casting in that film, for the most part, is spectacular.
I never really
See, now Joey will disagree, and I know he will disagree, but
I love disagreeing.
I don't know if you'll disagree or not, but I will double down. I still think Affleck is the best Batman.
No. Christian Bale
is
is
not
Batman.
the best Batman.
He is Batman. He
not.
looks the part.
I love those movies, I'm not going to lie, but he is not
Christian
better than
Bale
Affleck.
is the only Batman.
If you want the most comic accurate Batman we've had live action on screen, it is Ben Affleck, or however crappy you pronounce his name. Right.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Listen to what I put there. Comics accurate.
Right.
Christian Bale, the Dark Knight trilogy, is a fantastic set of movies. It's absolutely.
He is the best realistic Batman.
Yeah,
right.
that's the whole thing. Is they were trying to make realistic Batman,
and they did with Christian Bale.
That's where they should have stopped.
But if you're a comic purist, Ben Affleck is the best Batman.
I mean, he looks like he was
Bruce Wayne,
straight out of the Dark Knight Returns.
Exactly.
Especially that costume. That costume is so incredible.
The costume shading.
Okay, so this is not a Justice League episode, so we're going to move on.
It is now.
So Justice League reboot might happen. Tweet us at Rogue Number One Radio and tell us what you think.
Are you sure about that? Because you paused there.
Yeah, I had to think about that for a second.
It is
Rogue Numeral One Radio.
So I will say though, if they do reboot it, they need to keep Henry Cavill as Superman.
I agree.
They need to keep Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
I agree. They need to keep Ben Affleck, but they won't.
Right. No, he's already tapped out.
Yeah.
And then they need to keep Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
No. That's where I.
We'll agree to disagree, but that's good. Well, we should talk about this more on our Justice League episode when it comes to that. We really should. Next piece of news, I don't know how interested you guys are about this, but Jeff Johns has announced that Volume 3 of Batman Earth 1 is complete.
Woohoo.
So if you're not aware, the Earth 1 series was essentially a
realistic
version. In some ways,
it was just a modern retelling.
It's just a modern retelling.
Yeah, okay, like the Ultimates.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, you have Superman. There's 3 volumes of that. They did a Wonder Woman. I think there's 2 volumes of that.
There is. I've read them.
And then there's 2 of Batman, which now there's going to be a 3rd. And then they did a couple volumes of Teen Titans.
I like that.
And there is a Volume 1 of Green Lantern, which I actually really liked.
I met the guy that I think he colored that at New World Comic Con.
So the Green Lantern book was fine, I guess.
See, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I liked the coloring, and that's about it.
I couldn't get into it, and the Wonder Woman book literally made me feel uncomfortable. I don't know what it was.
I didn't like it. You know who wrote it, don't you?
Yeah, Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
That's
Well, he is Grant Morrison is not a favorite here of the Steve.
He's written some really good stuff.
Yeah.
He really has, but he's written some stuff that is just crap.
I do not disagree. There's stuff he's written. Some of his he is either spectacular in a mind-blowing way, see All-Star Superman, no. Or he is confusing as all heck, Final Crisis.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman just truly made me feel uncomfortable.
So somewhere in the middle of those two extremes lies his current run on Green Lantern, which is not
I actually like it.
phenomenal, but I like it.
I got it when it first came out, and I stopped. There's something...
Yeah.
So I think the artwork is really good, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I don't like... So I'm a big fan of what Jeff Johns did with...
Okay.
And,
if we're gonna measure him against Jeff
New
Johns,
52.
there's absolutely no comparison.
New 52?
No, pre-New 52.
Pre-New 52.
The new,
No.
Even though that Green Lantern was one of those weird things when the New 52 happened, they're like, nothing in our history happened except Green Lantern and except Batman. But we're going to condense Batman into a 5-year period, and it's not going to make sense. And Green Lantern, it all happened somehow, even though it doesn't contextually make any sense. Blackest Night could not have happened in the New 52 world, but I digress.
Okay. So he's going to do a third volume of Batman Earth 1, and
Nice voice crack there.
yeah. But I'm looking forward to that because I actually do like the Batman Earth 1 series. For that matter, I like the Superman Earth 1 series.
Actually,
Superman Earth 1 series was quite good.
Yeah, I like it.
I never thought about this, but Earth 1 Batman actually reminds me of Batfleck now that I think about it.
Slightly.
Yeah.
I
Slightly.
can see that now.
Yeah, the Earth 1 Superman reminded me a lot of Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Storyline.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
This is hard-hitting stuff.
So next piece of news, anybody out there ever read the book or seen the movie Ready Player One?
Oh, that's
You
me.
might be
That's
interested
Joey.
in knowing that there is a sequel coming out
Ah!
this fall
I win!
of the book, not a movie. So the author is writing, or I'm assuming at this point has already written the sequel, and it's supposed to be coming out sometime in November.
You're buying me all
So
the copies.
if you are interested in Ready Player One, that is coming out for you.
That's
Is it? I heard it was called Ready Player 2.
It better not be.
I have no idea what it's
Actually,
called. I'm not sure.
if it aligns with how I want it to go, I'd be completely fine
Next
with
piece
that.
of news is in regards to the CW Batwoman show, which I did watch the first season. I like the first season. I like Ruby Rose as Batwoman.
Did you forget her name?
No.
Yes.
But if you have been following the news about this show over the past few months, Ruby Rose quit the show.
She gave up.
Well, I mean, I think it's a little more complicated than that. She damn near died.
Did she?
Yeah, she got she broke her neck.
Okay.
So she
So
could have
maybe
been
not that
paralyzed.
much.
And she comes from she was a model, and she was doing major Hollywood blockbuster films. And the work, I mean, that's not easy work. I mean, it's easier than some stuff. But that compared to, hey, you're going to be the lead on a 22 episode series.
Right.
That is very physically demanding, and you're in 95% of the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she quit the show, and when they first broke that news, they had said, CW said that they were going to recast. Later, they decided Kate Kane is no longer going to be Batwoman. They're going to cast. Basically, they're going to come up with their own original character to be Batwoman. And the news that we have to speak on is that they have casted who the new Batwoman is going to be, and her name is. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm going to butcher your name. Javicia Leslie.
Javicia Leslie.
So she's going to play Batwoman.
Your white joke there.
He's not wrong.
I am. So I guess the character's name they've revealed is Ryan Wilder. Not inspired by anyone from DC Comics. So I want to chat about that a little bit.
This is the weirdest Superman.
Do you think they should have recast Kate Kane?
Yes.
I think they should have just been done with it. I think they should have wrapped it up in a nice, pretty bow.
Well,
It ended in a cliffhanger. So
Exactly. So did My Name Is Earl. That was a great show. That had 4 seasons.
I can't speak to that.
Okay.
But I think they should have recast. And if not recast, they should have brought in another actual character. Making a brand new character, I find that concerning. That having been said, Greg Berlanti and company have earned my faith in 9 years of producing top quality
for sure,
television.
yeah.
Because he made The Flash.
All of the Arrowverse shows.
Oh, I just know because his name shows up in the corner of the screen.
Yeah.
I go, hey.
He does that. He also
Last
was he's an executive producer on pretty much all of the DC Universe shows, which was Stargirl. That was produced for
best
DC
show.
Universe. He's part of Titans. He was Riverdale on CW. Sabrina, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. He's
Did he do Swamp Thing? Did he have anything
I
to do
think
with
so.
that?
He did stuff with that, and he's got stuff on other networks. I mean, I don't know how he does everything he does, but I don't think this is a good idea. But I'm not going to pass judgment on it.
But yeah, no,
That's the way I'm doing it. I don't like the idea they're just making up a character to be that one.
Well, okay.
But like you said, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because they've done a good job.
Well, no, now I want to say something about that is, who would they bring in? Barbara Gordon.
Kane.
No. If they were going, not to recast, but to bring in a new character, who?
Well, I mean, there are a number of different people that Batgirl. You could...
Yeah. Barbara Gordon, I don't know if I would want her in it.
I think they should have... If they were going to do it, they could have brought her in as Oracle.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
But I do not want Cassandra Cain anywhere near it because of Birds of Prey.
We're not going to talk about that.
Nobody knows the real Cassandra Cain. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But I think I have a theory that they are hoping that someday Ruby Rose will want to come back, or that they will convince her.
That makes a sense as to why they would not recast it.
Right.
Okay. But again, like I said, I don't like it, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to keep watching it because there are other characters on that show that I like. I like Luke Fox.
Yeah,
he's cool.
I like her sister.
I hope they do Batwing, but I'm going to continue to not watch it because I just don't want to. I'm just not into like Arrow and Batgirl. I'm not into the edgier stuff. Flash, Stargirl, Supergirl. That's great.
Don't watch Titans then.
Yeah, I don't know.
I watched a few episodes of that.
I might try, and I might just be like, ha ha ha.
So the funny thing about Stargirl, if you don't know, Stargirl, which is right now on CW, is actually produced for the DC Universe. What's the DC Universe? It's a streaming service that gets you shows, comics, movies, all together in one-stop shop. I'm one of the few people that actually subscribes to the service.
We have found the one.
You're the one.
No, there's more. But their first show they produced was Titans, based on the new Teen Titans. They produced a Swamp Thing show. They do Doom Patrol, which is now also on HBO Max, and they do Stargirl. And the thing with Doom Patrol and Stargirl, they really seem to get the essence of those characters and nail the feel of the comics. Titans is not anything.
It's kind of a hot mess.
It really is. And I have serious issues with what they've done with Hawk and Dove, because I love Hawk and Dove, and the fact that they are not avatars of order and chaos bothers me.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
What are they?
They're just two costume people.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Anywho.
Interesting, though, that you brought up HBO Max, which is a good segue, because speaking also of the Bat family and HBO Max, the director of the upcoming The Batman movie, Matt Reeves, has announced that he is developing a TV show for HBO Max that I don't know if it's going to be titled as such, but it's based on the Gotham Central comic book.
Who knows?
which
it's supposed to be in the same universe as the Batman.
as the Batman, right? So I actually read. I don't know how many issues of Gotham Central there were, but I read quite a few of them, and I did like them. So I'm interested. It may cause me to actually subscribe to HBO Max.
HBO Max is a good service.
I might just do it for.
But it does focus, of course, on the Gotham City Police Department. So he is co-creating it with a guy, what's his name? Terrence Winter, who had something to do with the old HBO show The Sopranos. So the CBR says it doesn't have a title yet, but it is based on the Gotham Central comic book series, which was written by Ed Brubaker and Greg Rucka.
Greg Rucka's awesome.
Yeah, so I like Brubaker too. I really like his run on Captain America.
Okay,
he did a really
never
good
read
run
that.
there.
It's interesting. The pitch of that show, in some ways, sounds a lot like what I think everyone thought the show Gotham was going to be.
Yeah.
And
We won't talk about Gotham around Joey. Though.
I will. I'm going to say that Gotham has the best realized live action Gotham City.
Agreed.
Film. It looks phenomenal.
See, I actually liked that show.
I love that show.
I love that show. Joey did not like that show.
Okay, I do want your opinion on this. Is the Riddler older or younger than Batman in the comics? He's younger. He looks younger.
He's older.
He's younger.
He's older.
You know what?
Pipe in there, listeners.
Batman,
Is Riddler supposed to be older or younger than Batman?
Well, it doesn't. I mean, honestly, it doesn't really
It doesn't matter.
because depending on who's writing it, it's going to change it.
That's true.
Depending on which universe you're in, it's going to change. Depending on the reboot. And Gotham, just like Smallville, it's an adaptation.
Right.
So it's these creators making their own vision of what they thought Gotham City was like and the beginnings of Batman and Bruce Wayne. And you have to admit, even if you don't like the show, that in the pilot they perfectly set the scene where when Bruce's parents get killed, it is literally the panel from year one. Frank Miller's year one.
Yeah.
It looks phenomenal. And I'm sorry, I love the guy who played Riddler. I love the guy who played Penguin. Penguin was just incredible.
I did
I
like
like
how
it.
they did that, actually. That was pretty good.
All right, so that is all the news we have for this week. We're going to get into our main topic here in a bit, which is Superman. But we're going to take our next musical break. This is an artist, a solo artist by the name of Nathan Gray. Really nice guy. I've had a chance to talk to him via the interwebs a few times. But this song is actually the title track off of his latest album, which is called Working Title. It was released earlier this year, February, January, somewhere around there?
It was pre-COVID.
So really nice guy, and really, it was a great album, so be sure you...
It's a fantastic record. Now, what's the band he's from?
I can't remember.
It's one of those bands, it's their name is like a multi-word name, but it's all smooshed together as one word. And they were a big emo band in like the early aughts and maybe late 90s.
Boy Sets Fire.
Boy Sets Fire. Hey, I was right.
Very good.
I've never listened to that band.
No, I hadn't either.
But yeah, Nathan Gray is great. It's that kind of earnest. If you like Dave Haas, if you like Springsteen, if you like Tom Petty type stuff.
Yeah, I can really see the connection to Dave Haas though.
People like Tom
Very
Petty.
close. Mm-hmm.
I like his one song and that's it.
For those listening, Dave is giving Joey the stink eye. All right, so we're going to play a song. This is Working Title by Nathan Gray.
seen enough of your brand of misery. I've watched you struggle all night and get lost in the fight of what will never be. Come on back down when you're ready to see. I'm just a walking title, that's for sure. But I ain't giving up till I'm much more. I'll be the battle cry you need to hear. I'll be the anthem you can't wait to share. If it's all the same to you, just let it be. 'Cause I've seen enough of your brand of misery. I've watched you struggle all night and get lost in the fight of what will never be. Come on back down when you're ready to see. I'm just a walking title, that's for sure. But I ain't giving up till I'm much more. I'll be the battle cry you need to hear. I'll be the anthem you can't wait to share. I'm in the dreams that keep you hungry and restless. I'm in the cold that keeps you begging for more. I'll wake you up in the middle of the night. I'll rise you up off that floor. To see the promise in your fevered visions. To find the worth inside your fractured heart. I am the words that you've been hoping to find. I am your brand new start. I'm just a walking title, that's for sure. But I ain't giving up till I'm much more. I'll be the battle cry you need to hear. I'll be the anthem you can't wait to share. I'm just a walking title, that's for sure. But I ain't giving up till I'm much more. I'll be the battle cry you need to hear. I'll be the anthem you can't wait to share.
All right, we're back, folks. You are listening to Rogue One Radio. I am your host, Steve, with Joey
Hi.
and Dave, otherwise known as Silky Dave.
Thank you, Floyd. Our good friend Floyd, who has taken over the podcast that Steve and I started long ago called Around the Ring. Floyd took that over, and when he was my co-host, he called me Silky Dave because apparently all his friends say I have the smoothest voice.
I'm going to make all my friends for calling me that. Not
Yes.
Silky Dave, but
Let's hope not. All right, so
I could go by Dave.
this episode we're going to be talking about Superman.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well,
There's no
we
hopefully
got-
to it. We're
we
going to
got
talk about Superman.
sidetracked. How many times did we get sidetracked talking about the
Doesn't matter.
news?
Never mind that. Never mind that now.
Just wait.
Just
I was
wait
about
for
to say
sidetracks.
Justice
Okay,
League.
so Superman, in case you have no idea who we're talking about.
You have the internet.
I don't know.
You are on
You
the
would not know who
internet.
Superman is. So he was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster.
Good.
Debuted in Action Comics #1 in April 1938. So by almost every origin story that I have seen, basically he's born on Krypton as Kal-El, sent to Earth by his parents because Krypton was about to explode. So they send him to Earth. He lands in Smallville, Kansas, and he's adopted by Jonathan and Martha Kent, who name him Clark. So he becomes Clark Kent.
Yeah.
As I said, off the top of my head, every origin, no matter how much they have played with it, that is the basis of his
that's
origin.
it. That's it. He was on Krypton. Now he's not.
The only one that I can say that is slightly different is from Red Sun, where he does not land in Smallville, Kansas. He lands in
somewhere better.
Soviet Russia.
Right, and then there's the Secret Identity series, which it's not even it's a family that has a kid, and their last name is Kent, and they're like, we're gonna name him Clark, and then he gets powers out of nowhere.
So yeah, that was a weird story.
And then I think there's one where he lands in like New York, or like a biker picks him up and he gets adopted by someone else. And one where he's from Earth and Jonathan Kent is a scientist who sends him into Krypton and he gets not a Power Ranger ring, a Green Lantern ring.
I have not heard of either one of those.
Yeah. Well, I know like Ultraman, the Earth 3 version.
Yeah.
He's evil.
Yeah, he has to eat kryptonite. To get
No. He like inhales it.
Yeah, something like
Which
that.
is
Something
worse.
like that.
He's addicted.
But Superman is that type of. He's the quintessential superhero.
He is.
He's
the
like,
American way.
to me, if you're going to be a superhero, he is the superhero you want to emulate.
He is. I mean, he's the original superhero.
Right.
It's all started with him. It all came from him. And what? So, no, I'm going to jump the gun here. But so what? So many people think Superman's boring. He's a Boy Scout. He's too powerful. Blah blah blah. And yeah, there are times that he is portrayed in that way. But when done right, he's this character that makes you want to be a better person just by being around him, because he is such a good person. He's flawed. He makes mistakes, but he is a good person. And it really, in Superman Secret Origin, there's that scene at the end where he stops that mob from going after the cops, and they're like, and the mob asks, what do you want us to do? And he's like, I don't want you to do anything. I want you to stop looking for a great savior. I'm not it. Lex Luthor's not it. You are.
Yeah.
I was given these gifts. I do what I do because I can. And that's something Max Landis, who has since been canceled because he's apparently kind of a gross person. Anyway, he wrote Superman American Alien, and he has a great video on YouTube about Clark Kent. But when you ask yourself, you talk about hero motivations, right? Why does Superman do what he does? Literally because he can.
Yeah.
Why does Batman do what he does? Revenge. Why does Spider-Man do what he does?
Vengeance, not revenge.
You say tomato. Why does Spider-Man do what he does? Guilt. There are few other characters that do what they do just because they can. Wonder Woman is one. To some extent, depending on how Captain America is portrayed, he is one.
Yes.
Almost everyone else, especially in Marvel, they're damaged.
Yeah.
So then, but you've got Superman who has these gifts, and he can do it, and he does do it because it's the right thing to do.
Correct.
I wouldn't do that.
He's the quintessential superhero. So, we're going to talk first about live action films that Superman has been in. The very first live action film was in 1948.
Wait,
and it was just called Superman. And the actor's name was Kirk Allen. That one had a sequel that came out in 1950 called Atom Man versus Superman. I've not seen either one of these.
I have not either.
I gotta see this.
In 1951, Superman and the Mole Men came out, and that was the first movie that starred George Reeves, who was the TV Superman for a while. And
For a long while.
Really a long while. He was, in fact, we're going to talk about this when we talk about TV Supermans, but I'll jump the gun. He was Superman from 1952 to 1958. So he spent some time as a TV.
And didn't he kill himself?
The actor, yes, he killed himself.
Not Superman.
So then our next live action iteration of Superman that we got was in 1978 with Superman the Motion Picture. Superman was played by Christopher Reeves, and this was, for me, the first glimpse of Superman that I got. I had not read any of the comics prior to this.
Yeah, I hadn't either, and I first saw Superman in either Superman the movie or in Super Friends, and I don't know which.
Yeah, I think I saw the cartoon after I saw the Superman the movie. But Superman with Christopher Reeves, for its time, was a really great movie.
It still stands up if you forgive the 70s of it all and some of the goofy things and the obviously lack of anything to do with physics. If you just let that go, Christopher Reeves embodied that character and the essence of that character beautifully.
He really did, yeah.
And the thing is that no matter what you say about superhero films, they really, the benchmark is honestly, at the end of the day, it's Superman the movie.
Yeah.
Everything will always be compared against that film.
Yeah.
Now, Joey, as a young Gen Z child...
I'm not a child, I'm a teen.
Close enough.
But go on.
I did that because I knew it would hurt him. So, as a youngin', what are your thoughts on Superman the movie?
Well, I've never seen it. The specific 1940s one or 19...
No, we're talking about the 1978.
Yeah, not that one either.
You have seen it.
I have?
Because I sat down and watched it with you.
Yeah, I don't remember.
He doesn't have a very... Much like me, full disclosure.
I just realized you're wearing a Superman shirt.
I came prepared for this episode. Dave has an excuse. He came from work.
I came from work.
I have an excuse, and that is
no excuse.
That shirt looks like the opening credits to Saved by the Bell.
But no, I'm sure that when you made me watch it,
He was probably not paying attention.
I was about this tall, and now I'm this tall, and my memory is this tall.
I believe it. But no,
so as a young,
I have not failed. He did watch it with me.
So your homework, whether you choose to accept it or not, is to partake in this film and come back to us next week. Or if Steve will let you access the Twitter account, tweet some thoughts.
I'm gonna tweet.
So yeah, because I would be really interested because it is very 70s and. People think special effects aren't.
Yeah, the technology is not really there.
No, but for 1978, it was fantastic.
It was, yeah.
But Christopher Reeves just nails the character.
Yeah, he does.
And this was still at a time when Superman it was literally in the comics, he pushed planets around. When you hear the complaints about the character being too overpowered and is literally a god and can do anything, a lot of that stems from the Silver Age and the Bronze Age, when Superman was ridiculously overpowered.
He was, yeah.
That was fixed in 1986 by a gentleman named John Byrne after an event called Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is one of the greatest comic series ever written, in my humble opinion.
Agreed. So, after this one came, of course, Superman 2, which was in 1980. I remember seeing this one in the theater.
Interestingly, Superman 1 and 2 were filmed at the same time.
They were.
Wait, yeah.
But they were so far over budget, they had to stop filming Superman 2 and finish up Superman, the movie. And then Richard Donner got fired.
Yeah.
Because the Sorkins are weird freaking guys. If you ever watch interviews, those cats are strange. But they brought in some other dude. And,
you know what? I don't remember the original director, but give me a second.
But Superman 2 is a good movie. It's
because I have seen the Richard Donner cut.
I own the Blu-ray of the Richard Donner.
Yeah. Richard Lester is the guy who directed it.
What else has he done?
Well, let's see.
That's the best name I've ever heard.
He did the Beatles movie A Hard Day's Night. He did the Beatles movie Help. He did the John Lennon movie How I Won the War. Looks like he should not have had anything to do with Superman. Which leads us to the next sequel, Superman 3, also directed by Richard Lester. This movie should be stricken from everybody's memory.
I will disagree with you. For
really?
Two reasons.
Okay.
One, Superman 4 is 1,000 times worse.
Agreed. I will agree with you on that.
Number two, if you go into Superman 3 expecting a Richard Pryor vehicle, it is hysterical. It is Richard Pryor at the top of his game. Richard Pryor is a comedian who is now, unfortunately, passed and was hilarious. Just so funny.
He was funny in that movie, but I wanted to see Superman.
Right. Now, I'm saying...
As a Superman movie, it was not good.
Well, with this gigantic caveat, I have not seen this movie since the 1980s. I don't own it. I don't plan on owning it. But I have fond memories of it, mostly because, as a young child, my parents thought it was a good idea to let me watch Richard Pryor's stand-up. Probably not a good idea. Just saying. It's very foul-mouthed, hilarious.
My parents did that, too. They let me watch Whatever. That's why I'm so messed up.
Obviously.
No, we did not. This Joey's lying.
They just
Okay.
didn't pay attention.
So here's a funny pop culture tidbit. Did you ever see the movie Office Space?
Nope.
Yes.
Okay, you know they actually reference Superman 3. You remember when they do that?
No, because I've only seen it once.
Well, the part when they're going in and they're talking about taking bits and pieces of accounts and putting them into they're like they got the idea from Superman 3.
Yes,
because that's what Pryor did in the
right.
You did the
Superman-
same thing with your band.
Right, Richard Pryor. Well, no, Richard Pryor did something with computers. He worked for a bank or something, and he realized, looking at accounting notes, that all these half cents just go off into the ether, and he figured, I can take this money because no one's paying attention to it, and so he ripped off this company or whoever he was working for. And like a genius, shows up the next day to work with like a Lamborghini, some massive car.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we know who did this.
So the biggest problem I had with that movie was the choice of villains. I thought the villains were really weak.
I don't even remember who the villains were.
Zod.
No,
No,
that
it was not
the first
Zod.
two.
Well, I mean, Lex Luthor wasn't even in it. It was just these two random like.
Oh yeah, it was John Cryer.
No. That was in Superman 4.
Oh, that's right. That's one he had to make up for. He had to apologize for it.
Okay. Well, we're as always unprepared.
feel
It's a guy who Robert Vaughn is the actor's name.
oh yeah.
Um,
See, this is it's so forgettable. I mean,
and they are. They're not. It's like the one, like if you want to call it a saving grace of the movie, in regards to Superman himself, is when they try to make kryptonite and they give him like this, like faux kryptonite, and it doesn't hurt him. It just turns him into a bad guy.
right, well, that's where it splits him in two.
Right.
That's
and
fine.
Well, not originally. First, he's just a mean guy,
That's
and then he goes to like this junkyard where he splits into.
that would be red kryptonite turns black kryptonite.
What they did is they found. So, if you've never seen this movie, what they do is they find this piece of kryptonite and they use their computers to try to compose what it's, or figure out what its composition is.
Commodore 64 people.
Right. So they find all the elements, and then there's this unknown element. And Richard Pryor's trying to figure out what this unknown element is, and he's like at his wit's end. He can't figure it out, and he's looking at a pack of cigarettes, and he says, tar. Let's just make it tar. So they create this kryptonite that has all of the elements of kryptonite, green kryptonite, except the one missing ingredient they replace with tar. And so they make it,
So
and they give it to, and Richard Pryor gives it to Superman, and it turns him mean.
Yeah.
so black kryptonite. That's originally.
It's just not. If you're a Richard Pryor fan, sure, go check it out. But it's not a great Superman movie.
And the thing you got to remember about comic book movies of this era is comic books were derided. They were not looked at as good literature. They were not looked at as anything serious.
Right.
As
They were
funny books.
Yeah, they were stupid stuff for kids. So it was the fact these movies got made at all is a miracle.
Yeah. So 1987 hits us, and we get The Quest for Peace.
The quest for
Horrible movie.
Yeah, and I think some of it had to do with the fact they had no budget. They had tons of budget problems. The theory was, because the movie is about Superman's like, because this was during the height of the Cold War, nuclear weapons are all over the place. I almost pulled a George Bush and pronounced it wrong. Nuclear. See, now I'm stumbling over.
Okay.
Anyway, so they're all over the place. Superman's like, I'm done, y'all. I'm collecting all your nukes, and he collects them all, and I think throws them onto the moon or into the sun. Or
Throws them
something.
into the sun, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Lex Luthor comes up with this bright idea. Let's use all those nukes with a little bit of Superman DNA to create a Superman, and he creates this nuclear man. That it's just a horrible movie. Don't bother.
It is.
You're gonna watch
Now,
it.
okay. Here's the $10 million question. What is worse, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, Batman and Robin, or any of the Fantastic Four movies? Do it.
Quest for Peace.
Ooh.
See, honestly, I think I'm going to go Fantastic Four movies.
They were bad, but they... I don't know. They weren't Quest for Peace bad. And Batman and Robin was pretty dang bad.
You love that movie.
It was bad.
I mean, there's. I hate to do this joke. I used to do this joke before he passed, but my joke was that Joel Schumacher was going to rot in hell just for Batman and Robin alone, which is awful. And I take that back.
But
I apologize because he gave us the Lost Boys, and Lost
He
Boys
did.
is phenomenal.
he also gave us Sam Elmo's Fire.
Oh, that's good. That song. Oh, that song in that movie.
But yes, Lost Boys. He gave us that. But his take on when he did the last two Batman movies from the 80s, those were both just bad.
They were. I mean,
They were bad.
was... And I like Chris O'Donnell as Robin. I didn't have a problem with that. I liked Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was good. The dude who played Alfred was still good.
Oh, yeah. That's the one guy that came back for the movies.
Right. But, I mean, Val Kilmer as Batman in Batman Forever was terrible because his Batman and his Bruce Wayne were identical. He did nothing to change him. And he's a great actor.
And, yeah, he's a great actor. Neither one of those characters were good.
No, they were awful. And it's hard to believe. You watch that and you're like, literally a couple years earlier, this man played Jim Morrison, and I thought it was truly Jim Morrison.
Yeah. Great actor.
Oh, yeah,
Great actor.
tremendous
His
actor.
Doc Holliday is the standard by which all Doc Hollidays should be
I've
measured.
actually never seen that. But with Batman and Robin, it's George Clooney, and he was just being George Clooney.
Yeah.
As they said of Mystery Science Theater
So-
3000, head bob, nod, smile.
So here's the thing about that one. George Clooney looked like Bruce Wayne,
Just because he's a handsome man with black hair.
but he had the build. He looked like Bruce Wayne. That being said, he was not good in either role.
No, he's awful. Atrocious.
Horrible. So, brings us to the next kind of sequel to the 80s Superman franchise. This one actually basically came out and said, okay, 3 and 4 didn't happen because it directly follows 2. And that is Superman Returns with Brandon Roth. And I didn't hate this movie.
You know,
A lot of people did.
Yeah, and because it's not an action film at all. It's kind of, in some ways, I wouldn't say it's a deconstruction, but it's a really intellectual film in some ways. Now, obviously, knowing now what's been apparently known about Bryan Singer, it's slightly problematic because Bryan Singer is apparently gross. But the film, Brandon Routh does an amazing Christopher Reeves impression.
He does, yeah.
Especially his Clark is phenomenal.
Yes. Yes.
And I do remember when this movie came out, the interesting thing that Singer said is he was like, he said, okay, so if you were a Christopher Reeves Superman fan, this movie is a sequel to that. If you like Smallville and that's what you grew up on, this is a sequel to that. So it was designed as a... Because you think about it...
I can kind of see that.
Yeah, because the Fortress of Solitude in Smallville is the fortress from Superman, the movie.
Right.
With the crystals and
Right,
everything.
right.
So yeah, it was... But it really... What it was a love letter to the Richard Donner, Christopher Reeves film.
It was. So, another thing about this movie is, as far as live-action movies go, it had my favorite Lex Luthor. Now, despite everything you know about the actor, who apparently is a very horrible person, he did a really good Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it's Kevin Spacey we're talking about. And he's a tremendous actor. Scumbag of a human being, apparently.
But amazing Lex Luthor.
Oh, he was fine.
He was great. Okay, I think he was better than Gene Hackman, for one.
That's a really low bar.
It is. But another really low bar, which we're going to get to here in a minute, he was a much better Lex Luthor than Jesse Eisenberg. Okay, with that, let's move on to the 2013 iteration of the movie Superman, Man of Steel.
I definitely know what they were talking about that entire time.
Now then, Man of Steel, to this day, I still like this movie.
No.
I still like it.
Man of Steel's excellent.
Man of Steel's a great movie. I must have seen that thing in the theater. I think I saw it twice with you.
Too many times.
I think I saw it 4 times in the theater. I really like this movie.
Why?
It's a great movie. The Krypton scenes were amazing.
And it was
I'll do that.
It was cool. It was a new take on Krypton.
Yeah.
And it was a neat take on Krypton, and it had another apparently bad person, Russell Crowe, tremendous actor. Why are all these good actors scumbags? Billy Bob Thornton, poop bag. Anyway.
So, okay, but Russell Crowe did a great Jor-El.
Oh, he was fantastic.
Now, the one weakness, in my opinion, so you can disagree with me, and I'm sure you will, the one weakness of this movie, to me, was the actor that played General Zod.
I will find him.
He just... There's something about him that bothered me. Not his character. The character, I thought, was written well.
Yeah.
It's just his portrayal was like, I don't believe it.
So what takes me out of that the whole time, when you're looking at his face, there's something about his lips. He looks like he's dipping.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
He's got some chew.
I'm like, does this guy got some Copenhagen in his...
Yeah, so that's gross. And the writing for it was fine. It was good.
Yeah.
And Zack Snyder normally casts very well.
So I don't know what he was thinking.
Everything else, like Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White was.
Oh, it was great. It was great. So when I first heard Lois Lane is going to be played by Amy Adams, I was like, oh, that's not right. That's not going to work. And then I saw the movie, and I'm like, okay, that's Lois Lane.
And she had a great chemistry with Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, let's be honest. Henry Cavill is a delicious young man. He is a very handsome man. Exceptionally handsome. And so any woman who likes handsome people is going to, it's like the guy who played Aragorn in Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
He was so dreamy in that movie.
I like Henry as Superman.
He's fantastic.
I think he's great. He's a great Superman. He's no Tom Welling, but he's a great Superman.
Tom Welling is the only Superman.
But, yeah. So, I think we had this conversation. It was either with you or with Joey, where it may have been with you, where I was talking about the movie Superman. They had his essence up to a point. Like in the movie Man of Steel, I think they had his essence right.
I agree.
For a good portion of Dawn of Justice, they still had his essence right. Up until a certain point, he just turned dark.
Well,
and I'm not even talking about the nightmare sequences in Dawn of Justice.
Right.
I'm talking about there was just something about his character that to me felt like he turned dark.
I think some of that had to do with the plan that Zack Snyder had mapped out. He was going a very specific direction. The thing, so
you don't want a dark Superman.
No, I agree 100%. Knowing where that was coming from, and also at the time, this was around the same time that the New 52 launched, and Superman in the New 52 was okay. New 52 did some great stuff. Two of the worst things New 52 did was Green Arrow and Superman. They really did a complete injustice to both characters. But you watch Man of Steel, and also the same thing with the Green Lantern film, through the lens of the New 52, and they kind of work.
They do, but if you're not a fan of the New 52 Superman,
right,
and don't want to see that in a live-action film...
But the thing with especially Man of Steel, he's literally Superman for one day. It's like day 1 or 2. He has had the costume for one day. Cut the man a break. Yeah. He grew up in Kansas. He literally thinks he's human. He is flawed as everyone else. I don't care that he has all these powers. He's a person with the same phobias and qualms that we all have.
The thing that I like about what they did with him as a character is they did not make him overpowered. Right. One scene in particular stands out to me when he is working on the fishing boat, and he goes to go help this oil rig that's collapsing, and you can see him struggling to keep that thing up.
Yes.
Like an overpowered Superman would be holding it with one finger, but this Superman was struggling, and I like that in this first movie at least, his humanity really shined.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah, I liked the movie. I was not a fan of their General Zod, which was disappointing because I like General Zod.
See, I'm not.
but-
I've never been a Zod fan. He's just
Interesting. I've liked him ever since Superman 2.
Okay.
So then we won't get into Justice League, but in Justice League I really want to see Henry Cavill back as Superman, but with somebody else writing it.
Agreed.
Because I think Zach has already he's already bitten off more than he can chew with Superman.
I don't know if Zack Snyder.
Understands the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I think he really likes the character.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah. He can like a character, but not have a clue how to write him.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see a good Superman live action
I really hope so. I really
movie
want
at some point.
Henry Cavill to have the opportunity to really play it.
To
be
really
a
play
good
it, yeah.
Superman film.
So that brings us to the next point of our discussion, and that is live action TV Supermans,
Smallville.
which started out in 1952 with Avengers of Superman, played by George Reeves. As I said earlier, that ran until 1958. In the late 80s, there was a Superboy TV series.
What?
It ran from 1988 to 1992. This was a weird one because the first season they had one actor playing Superboy. His name was John Hames Newton, and then for the rest of the seasons 2, 3, and 4, it was a completely different Superboy played by a guy named Gerard Christopher.
Boy, like.
I never watched that show.
I've never seen it.
Never
So
seen
you
it.
can't tell me if John Kent or...
So
No, John Kent is a very new creation.
Yeah, I'm just asking.
So
what
the next TV iteration that we get is starts in 1993 with The Adventures of Lois and Clark. Superman's played by Dean Cain. This one ran until 1997. I did watch a few episodes of this here and there. Was not an avid repeat watcher. I didn't like the Dean Cain Superman.
I have never watched it.
I was not a fan of that film.
Are they making a new one?
I didn't like the actor they had playing Lex Luthor. I think whoever was writing that didn't understand the Luthor character. It was just a horrible show.
What they do to Luthor?
Which brings us to the best TV iteration
The only
of Superman, and that would be Smallville.
The only.
I agree.
Ran from 2001 to 2011, 10 seasons. Great show if you've never seen it. Make it an honest effort to go and watch everything of this show. It was amazing.
Now, to be fair, you could probably skip season 1 and 2. When I did my rewatch, I watched the pilot, and I ended up jumping into season 3.
Okay.
Because the first 2 seasons are very teen drama. Very.
I get that.
mean, this was the dawn of the CW. No,
this was pre-CW.
This was WB. It was a WB show.
Yeah.
So it was very,
teen
early
romper
2000s teen, but
great show.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal show, and I truly think that Tom Welling is the best on-screen Clark Kent we've ever had.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
real quick about the Dean Cain show. Did you know that the Death of Superman comic book series only happened because of that television show?
Wow.
They killed Superman because of Lois and Clark, folks.
Yes.
It was such a bad show.
Oh.
It was such a bad show that they killed all Superman. Nope, that's the story.
Nope, no, that's
Nope.
Thank
What
you.
happened is they had planned, because all the writers of all the 4 Superman books at the time, they would plan out a year's worth of plot in advance, and they were going to have Lois and Clark get married. And the show came out and they said, hey, we're going to have them eventually get married in the show, but we want to have the marriage in the comic happen around the same time. So you can't do this. And so they all they had to rip up an entire year's worth of storyline. And I want to say it was Jerry Ordway who said and apparently he would say this often over the years, said, well, let's just kill him. And this time they took him seriously.
Yeah.
And they killed him.
And so Dan Jurgens was a very big part of that.
Yeah.
And we'll get to Dan Jurgens here in a minute. But so the next TV show, again, Smallville, you have to watch it if you haven't. Great show. The next one, have you watched any of the Krypton show?
No.
I've watched a few episodes. See, okay, so this was... I watched a few episodes that Sci-Fi allowed me to watch for free, and then they were like, no, you got to subscribe to this. Because at the time, I did not have cable. So what I saw of it, I did like... And it's not about Superman, actually. It's about Superman's grandfather, and it takes place on Krypton. It's a prequel. I liked what I saw of it. By no means is it anywhere near Smallville, obviously, but it had an interesting. It was interesting to see Krypton prior to exploding and what was going on there. But if I remember correctly, it was Adam Strange that kind of set off that show. Adam Strange.
Adam Strange was on it. Lobo was on it. I think in season 2. Brainiac's in it. It's supposed to be a very good show. I never bothered, and I think it only lasted 2 seasons.
I think you're right.
And I want to say though, I'm pretty sure Supergirl actually started before it did.
Might have, but so if I remember right, I think it's Adam Strange that shows up from the future and is like, you're very important because he knows who Superman is. You've got to, like, some big catastrophe happened, and he's like, you got to fix this, because otherwise Superman's not going to happen.
I came back though.
So then the next live action TV Superman actually started off in the Supergirl TV show on the CW, and I'm going to have you pronounce his name because I will butcher it.
I've always heard it Tyler Hoechlin.
Okay. So he shows up in the Supergirl TV show, and he actually has a show coming of his own with Lois, premiering in January, called Superman and Lois, and it's basically about him and Lois and trying to raise twin boys.
Correct.
But as far as live action iterations of Superman go, right behind Tom Welling, I would have to place Tyler behind him.
He is fantastic.
I think he's a good Superman.
When they first brought him in on Supergirl, he definitely played second fiddle because you have to be really careful with how you do this,
right?
And because the show is Supergirl, but his portrayal of Clark was perfect.
Yeah.
And especially for a post Crisis on Infinite Earths, post say Infinite Crisis iteration of Clark, he nailed it. And he in Crisis on Infinite Earths, the event, the Arrowverse event, he got to stand next to Brandon Routh, reportraying Superman from Superman Returns, which also ended up being the Kingdom Come Superman. And Brandon's a lot taller.
Yeah.
But it was that was fun, and they even had a fight scene at one point.
Yeah. That was great. But yeah, Tyler's a great Superman.
I think he's really good.
I am really looking forward to this show coming out in January.
He is. If I'm ranking my favorite on-screen Superman, he's probably my number 3. With Tom Welling being number 1 and Henry Cavill number 2.
I could see that. I think I like Tyler a smidge better than Henry, but mostly I think the reason is the writing. I think the Tyler version of Superman is written just a little bit better. If you're talking about like, this is what I think of when I think of Superman.
Right. Well,
he's just a smidge better than Henry.
Yes, and you've got to understand, like, Berlanti and Kreitch, or whatever his name is, and the Ander guy. Mm-hmm. These people, they all have a reverence for the source material.
Yes.
And so they're going to understand these characters better than a Zack Snyder will.
Right.
Because Zack Snyder obviously loves The Dark Knight Returns. That is unbelievably obvious. So much of Batman v Superman. I mean, it was 90% Dark Knight Returns and 5% The Death of Superman.
Yeah.
And I will say, if you have never seen the extended or the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman, do watch it. Those 30 minutes make a world of difference.
I don't think I've seen it.
You have not seen the movie then. That 30 minutes, it's night and day. The movie actually makes sense.
Huh.
Unheard of.
No, it makes
maybe I only own that. I'll have to check it. I may own that one, and that's what I've seen. No, because I don't know.
It's 30 minutes longer than the theatrical, and it's little things here and there that they took out.
Okay.
It's not like just a 30-minute scene in there, but it like all the crap in the desert that happens makes sense. The fact that it becomes actually obvious that Lex Luthor is, I almost call him Lex Luthor. He's not going to do a torture act, but Lex Luthor is pulling the strings the entire time. Yeah. He's messing with everybody, and it's clear. It makes sense. And
maybe I don't have that then.
Yeah, the WB just was like, no, we got to make this shorter because we want more showings in theaters. So again, if the moral of the story of the DCEU has been the films that the studio kept their hands off of were all
Wonder Woman.
Great. Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, great movies.
See, I wasn't a big fan of the Aquaman movie. I didn't hate it. I just didn't think it was all that great.
I've never watched it, but I don't like Jason Momoa Aquaman just because I prefer Aquaman. Like blonde-haired Aquaman. Like Aquaman. I don't know how to explain it. Not edgy.
You're too much of a purist. I think you got that from me.
Really? You think?
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. We definitely have to have a Justice League episode, and we need to get you on that one.
I'm down.
Okay, so we're going to get into the comics, which is what Superman is all about. There have been some really good writers, and there have been some really bad writers. Some of the good ones, I just want to name a few. You've got, first of all, you got Jack Kirby, who did Superman years ago.
Well, he did Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen.
Right.
And then he did all his Fourth World stuff. I didn't know he actually wrote Superman titles.
He didn't have a lot, but the stuff he did was good because good in the fact that he understood the character.
Okay.
Then you have John Byrne, who
very good.
Did a great run on Superman. Then, of course, you got, this one may take a while, just talking about Dan Jurgens.
Well, I mean, you did skip Alan Moore.
I said good one. I was not a fan of Alan Moore's Superman stuff.
Really? See, the Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, I thought was it was a great send-off for the Silver Age Superman.
Okay.
For the Earth 1 Silver Age Superman. It was tremendous.
But let's come back to Dan Jurgens. Jeff Johns did some decent Superman stuff.
He did. Jeff Johns did some excellent stuff. He did.
Last Son of Krypton?
Yeah. The Brainiac storyline.
Mm-hmm.
He did the stuff with Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah.
He wrote the best part of Final Crisis. He wrote the Legion of Three Worlds, which had Superman in it.
So Jeff Johns, I think, understood the character a little more than, say...
Jeff Johns understands the DC universe in general better than almost anyone.
Right. I mean, his run on Green Lantern was just the standard.
Yeah.
J. Michael Straczynski, he did the Earth One books.
And he also did the Grounded storyline, which is the one where Superman. It was after New Krypton, and Superman decided he's going to be like Kane in Kung Fu and walk to Earth.
I never did read that one.
It starts.
I remember you recommended that to me, and I never got around to reading it.
So the general consensus, I really enjoyed it. The general consensus is it starts out well, it's a good idea, and then fizzles.
Okay.
And I can kind of see that. But the Superman Earth One, the 3 Earth One books, I think are all very good.
They're really good. Dan Jurgens, though, he had a really long run on Superman. I mean, when you think of Superman comic book writers, really he's got to be the first one that comes to mind because he had such a handle on the character and did it for so long. Like, when they announced for the first time that he was leaving Superman, it was like, it was just...
You cried.
Darn near. It was like,
and that was...
This can't happen.
Yeah, that was... Because when they did Rebirth, they gave Superman to Dan Jurgens. Because at that point, for context, so the New 52 Superman died.
Right.
Superman who was left was the pre-New 52, post-Infinite Crisis Superman. He survived because of Convergence. It's very convoluted. Anyway, that's also where Jonathan Kent comes in. Jonathan Kent was conceived during Convergence when Superman was depowered. Anywho, so he ended up being in the shadows during all the New 52 and watched Superman. And then Dan Jurgens does this big run in Rebirth, and they eventually end up merging those two characters.
Right. No, was that in the Lois and Clark?
No, that Lois and Clark was the preview to Rebirth. Basically.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
It's Superman Reborn.
Right. Okay, yeah. So Dan Jurgens has done some really great work on Superman. You may know, but to be completely honest, I can't think of any bad stories that he's done.
There was none.
I can't think of any. I mean, I started buying weekly. I became a Wednesday Warrior again after Rebirth, and I'm still buying comics to this day. And it was that Superman run was something that really sucked me in, and I loved it. The Oz Effect was a tremendous storyline, and that had that one super controversial issue, which I literally brought it with me, where there was a guy who had lost his job, and basically Lawson was going to shoot up a bunch of illegal aliens, quote unquote, immigrants, and Superman had to stop him, and Fox News lost their minds.
Yeah.
And the utter horrendous journalism that was done surrounding that. At the time, I was doing a comic books podcast called Destination Earth X, and I went on a livid rant about that. It's
you should still be able to find that episode on Spotify.
Yeah, it's on Spotify, it's on Spreaker, it's on Stitcher. Yeah. Just Google Destination Earth X.
Yeah.
I think there are 2 episodes after that. But it's it made me so angry. Because obviously so what was so irritating is, especially the Fox News commentators took a panel completely out of context.
Yeah.
And are like,
which does not surprise me that Fox would do something like that.
It is journalism.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the state of, and to be fair, Fox News is not the only terrible news outlet out there.
Oh no. No. There really aren't. There are really very few non-biased news outlets out there.
NPR.
That's about it.
Yeah.
And some would even say that they have a slant one way.
Well, if you're listening to Fresh Air, Terry Gross obviously has a slant.
Yeah.
But that's not a news program.
But in general, NPR is
But anywho, Dan Jurgens' run, the Oz Effect storyline was incredible. The whole thing was great. And then...
Which brings us to the current run of both Action Comics and Superman, when at the time, this was like I guess coup isn't really the word, but like this, it wasn't even controversial. It was just shocking that this writer jumped companies.
Right. It was the closest thing is when Jack Kirby left Marvel for DC.
Right. So Brian Michael Bendis had written a ton of Marvel stuff. I'm a big fan of Brian Michael Bendis. He has written some great stuff. Great run on Spider-Man. I know you weren't a fan.
I'm still reading it, and I'm not impressed.
Great fan of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Great run of New Avengers. He did a Daredevil run. He's done some really great stuff in Marvel. And they announced he was jumping ship to start writing Superman. So, going back a couple of years, when I first heard this, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be good. Then I started reading it. And I kind of lost flavor with Superman. It was...
Well, you stopped reading it.
I stopped reading it because I was like, no, this is not good. This is not good. And then I would find out things through news feeds of things that he was doing, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, he's ruining the series.
I know one thing.
And then another thing pops up, oh my god, he's ruining the series again. And it just kept going on, and it snowballed, and I was just like, I'm not reading any of this. And then something made me decide, okay, I'm going to give this a try. What it was is I was rereading a lot of old Bendis stuff from Marvel, and I was like, so how does this writer who has written so much amazing stuff fail with Superman? So I'm going to give him another shot. So I go back and I reread volumes 1, 2, and 3 of Action Comics. And then I reread volume 1, 2, and 3 of Superman.
And these are specifically his run.
The Bendis run. So that's where we'll start a discussion with Brian Michael Bendis. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't hate his run. I think he's made some mistakes. Some that you might say are unforgivable.
Yes.
But I don't hate his run as much as I thought I would. But with that, let's hear your opinions first, Dave. On the Brian Michael Bendis run in general.
The best word to describe the run is meh. It's fine. It's mostly incredibly forgettable. I have heard so now, laying my cards out on the table, I'm not a fan of Marvel Comics. I love the movies. I love a lot of their shows. I do not enjoy reading Marvel Comics at all. Hard stop. I liked Infinity Gauntlet. I thought that was great. Every major event I've read after that of theirs has basically been the same exact storyline, which is something crazy happens, and then we undo it all, and we're back to square one at the end.
Well, don't they kind of do that with DC, too?
Yeah. Well, they reboot and start over.
Yeah.
But it's, like in Marvel, nothing has consequences.
I can see that.
And it's irritating. Also, the thing is, though, the Marvel Universe and the DC Universe are incredibly different monsters. And the fact that if you can write well in one doesn't mean your style of writing is going to translate into the other.
And I think that's where Bendis is.
Right. At their core, Marvel is science fiction and DC is fantasy and mythology.
Yeah.
Well...
Yeah, no, I can... Yeah.
But wouldn't you call Thor mythology?
Yes. I mean, it's literally mythology because he's a mythological character.
Right.
But, so...
well, Ares, too.
Right, but if you think about the stories and the characters and the way they're laid out, so much of it is, how would people react to these powers? Very few Marvel characters are truly aspirational characters. Captain America in the movies is the kind of person you watch and you're like, I want to be a better person.
You need to read the Brubaker run of Captain America.
That's right. I've been wanting to find a Captain America run to read, so I'll have
Brubaker, Ed Brubaker.
And I like Spider-Man as a character, but he's an extraordinarily flawed person. And I mean, and sometimes in irritating way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. I'm reading the Ultimate Spider-Man, the first trade right now, which has the first 2 arcs, and I'm only like issue 2 or 3 into it, and I know that original 6-issue run was designed to be a self-contained story, and it sold so well. They're like, no, you can keep going. So those first few issues are just so much is slammed into a tiny space.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to judge the entirety of it until I read that whole volume.
Yeah.
Because apparently the second part, especially the final issue, issue 13, is supposed to be just tremendous stuff. I don't like it. I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
But I also, truth be told, I read, and this sounds, people are going to roll their eyes when they hear this. I read comics in the way some people read scripture. So I see these stories as the same human expression that gave us the myths of old, that gave us the epics of Greece and Rome, that gave us religion, that gave us Little Red Riding Hood and fairy tales and all
They
that.
gave us hope.
That's why
Yeah.
comic books, superhero comics, are modern day folklore.
Yeah.
So, and to me, Marvel is not that. I mean, as
I can
much-
see that. I do. I like certain Marvel comics. I still like. I'm reading Marvel more now than I am DC because there isn't much in DC that I want to read.
DC's a hot mess at the moment.
Yeah, because you're the villain. and
Now, as
that's
far as Marvel, I've got they do the Star Wars comics, so I read all those. I've been reading the lead up to the Empire series.
That didn't
See,
really
and
happen.
so yeah, I don't know anything about that. But you talk about Marvel. Here's something that frustrates me. So remember Secret Empire?
Ugh, yeah.
That was the whole Captain America, Hail Hydra, and all this. So
Wow.
I saw that. I read that 0 issue, and I read the first issue, and they were well written. But I knew right then and there, I was like, I guarantee you, by the last issue, everything will be undone. I bought the last
Steve-o.
issue. Everything was undone.
It
It
was,
was a waste of freaking time.
It was Steve-o.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I'm completely burying Marvel Comics right now because it's not for me.
All right.
That's not to say it's like
It's all very subjective.
right. But this is my long roundabout way of saying that I don't think a writer like Brian Michael Bendis understands the world of DC Comics.
Well, I mean, you can
Yeah.
read when you read those books. You obviously, I mean, it's very obvious to me that he doesn't care about what happened prior to
No.
his run.
He doesn't.
Welcome to my run.
He has, like I said, there's 2 things specifically pop out in my head that he has ruined about the Superman character. One of which I'm going to let Joey talk about because this is his even stronger than a pet peeve. This is his.
This is an intense, psychotic anger.
It is.
Real quick, I would like to say something about how Marvel doesn't have long-term consequences, and this is going to sound like a bunch of bull. But that's why the whole long-term consequences is kind of why this recent long-term run of Deadpool ended. Is what happened is that Deadpool had gone through the Secret Empire, and he felt bad about it, which does not sound like Deadpool if you watch the movies, but I read the comics because I'm weird. And he actually went through and he couldn't handle all his memories and he mind wiped himself. He couldn't deal with his past. So I just wanted to say at least one character, something that he did in his past.
They'll rewrite it and undo that.
I think they're gonna,
But okay, so
But
Bendis is
you
Superman.
cannot age up John. You can, but no. No. No, no, no. 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 No, no, no. No.
For
Stop.
those of you not understanding,
Stop. No.
Brian Michael
Stop
Bendis
No.
sent Jonathan
Stop.
Kent out to the. Wait a minute, was it Bendis or was it Jurgens that
No,
wrote?
it was so Bendis
Threw him out into the galaxy with his grandfather,
Jorah.
who why is he not dead? There's a problem.
No.
And came
But
back
when he comes back, he leaves. He's 11 years old. Comes back, he's 17.
No.
He's only been gone 3 weeks.
No.
But to him,
Nuh-uh.
so he went through this wormhole.
Yeah, he was trapped somewhere else where time went in a different.
Yeah.
Time moved differently.
No.
And honestly, I mean, I don't like that.
I don't.
I don't think it is. There are two egregious things that Brian Michael Bendis has done to Superman mythology, and that is not one of them.
Okay. The second one that I was going to mention
I'm not done.
was he revealed Superman's secret identity.
I had more things to say,
Okay,
actually.
let's go, Joey.
Go ahead,
No,
Joey.
no, but I am going to finish. No.
Okay, try to be a little bit more coherent than just no.
Stop. No. Anyway,
No.
That's good. I don't like that they did that. I just can't. Okay, so
Well said.
no. Anyway, so I think the main thing I liked is that there aren't a lot of kid characters that stay kids. You had Connor Kent, but he doesn't count because he got messed up in the New 52, and I don't count him as Superboy anymore. But I think the main thing was he was an actual kid. He wasn't like New 52 Connor Kent. He was raised in a lab. He wasn't like Damian, who he's the only Robin. He's Robin. That's Robin. But he never got to be a kid. Jonathan Kent got to be a kid, and then he had powers. He just happened to be Superman's kid.
See, I think I understand it now.
Yeah,
Because Joey is young, and he can relate to Jonathan Kent.
He's
Not as a superhero, but as a
don't
human,
know that.
he relates, and they just grew him up.
You can't do
He's
that.
not a kid anymore.
I can't do that. Can I?
No.
Oh.
They do it on soap operas all the time, but
no.
that's another story.
Yeah, no, that's
there were
literally
some-
it.
There were some great Jonathan Kent moments.
Yes.
During the Jurgens run.
See, his relationship with Damian.
He's the only Robin. He is Robin. He is the Batman.
Okay, we're not
He's
talking
Batman.
about Robin. We're talking about the relationship between Damian and Jonathan.
Oh, that
Great
was such-
relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Now, I will say
They messed.
there was a very, very small tear in the corner of my eye when Jonathan, as a 70-year-old, shows up and talks to Damian. And it's like,
Because that's not fair.
oh man,
It's
that
not
is
fair.
rough.
How can he
That
be
is so... Because now
the council?
Damian does not have a friend his age.
Right.
And that's not fair because
To me,
that
when
was
he was friends with Damian, Jonathan was,
that's what kept
and-
Damian human.
and he
Yeah.
grounded Damian.
His lightning rod.
Because Damian was he was
Damian.
raised by Ra's al Ghul,
So that's
so
all
he
I'm
had a
saying.
weird childhood. But
But
Jonathan grounded him,
That was his lightning rod.
and so
if you're gonna go with
he
fire.
shows up 17 years old, and Damian's just like, "What the hell?" You know, and so just a little bit of a tear.
That's so messed up.
But as I was saying, the other egregious mistake that I think Bendis made is when he revealed Superman's secret identity.
No.
That was the worst. Actually, I don't know. See, to me, the two big mistakes were what he did with the destruction of Krypton.
Oh
No.
I didn't even want to go there.
No.
Yeah, that was bad. And I hated
Completely rewrote
No.
what happened to Krypton.
Right.
No.
And I hated that character, and that took up a large portion of Brian Michael Bendis.
That is the first volume. That's all. Is him just going.
I
back
didn't
in
even
line.
think about that one, but you're actually
I'm not even gonna.
spot on. That was
that's
horrible.
horrendous.
He seems like, hi, I'm Doomsday, but General Zod.
Okay.
No.
Despite all that, okay, he's made some horrible mistakes,
It's wrong.
which you could say are unforgivable.
They are.
But does he understand the character?
No.
To a certain extent, I would say yes.
No.
I think, and I mentioned to you this earlier before we did our show, number one, the Brian Michael Bendis version of Superman is better than the New 52 Superman.
Which is an exceptionally low bar.
It is.
Yeah, you could step over that.
So, to me, and this is just my opinion, you can disagree to a certain extent. I think Bendis gets the character. That doesn't mean he writes the character well. I just think he gets his essence.
So what I think happens,
he just fails in its execution.
It's so like the whole issue where Superman reveals his identity is it is a very well written comic book.
I'll give you that,
and the art is great in it.
Yeah.
So it's well done, and from the standpoint of Clark Kent being in this position, having made this decision, is this how he would act? Yes. I don't think it's a decision he would have made.
I don't think he would have unilaterally made that decision.
No.
Right.
I think Bendis has the bones, but he can't flesh them out. I think
that's one way to put it.
He knows what he wants, but he just misses.
Okay, so that being said, I've read the first 3 volumes of both Action Comics and Superman.
I'm debating whether or not I will.
I will read the rest of the series.
How unfortunate.
Yeah, so
I did subscribe to both of them, so I will be reading new. See, this new issue of, I'm pretty sure it's Action Comics, where Connor Kent shows back up.
that's a new story.
What?
So I didn't hate that. I thought it was good, and I'm gonna subscribe to both of them.
Is that?
So I'm gonna finish. But here's the thing: this is a limited run at this point because he has already mentioned he's going to end his run.
Right. Well, I mean, Superman's going to continue. So.
Right. No, I'm saying Brian Michael Bendis is not going to be writing Superman anymore, which I'm happy about. I want to see him end his run. I want to see somebody else take over. Which leads me to the next question for both of you. Who do you want to see take over writing for Superman?
Mark Miller.
Who do you think would do a good job?
Mark Miller. I want an extended Red Sun comic forever to the end, on the end of podcast. Let's go.
Mark Miller did. I mean, he also wrote Birthright.
That's right.
He wrote Kingdom Come.
I did like.
Oh, he did.
I liked Birthright.
I love Kingdom Come and Red Sun, which I did not get to talk about.
We'll get to that.
We better.
Because Dave has some questions for us.
So I honestly,
I've actually thought about this quite a bit in the last month or so.
I would, based on the Superman Up in the Sky limited series, which I loved, I'd say give it to Tom King.
I'll have to read that one, but Tom King had a run on Batman that I just was not fond of.
See, that's an interesting thing. That is, some people thought that won Eisner Awards. It was an award-winning run. Wow. I mean, you're one of the few people I've ever heard who said.
See, and I'm a Batman fan.
Yeah,
but see, I am a fan of, if you want to talk about modern Batman, James Tynion. He had a run on Detective Comics that was just
the best.
The standard. It was amazing. He left Detective Comics, and I weeped.
I've never.
But then he took over for Batman.
He also wrote Talon, which was great.
He did.
James Tynion, the Force run on Detective Comics was.
But he's writing the current Batman series now.
So and he took over after they ended Tom King's run a little prematurely. Yeah. But mostly the storyline he was going to tell ended up going to the Batman and Catwoman book.
Yeah.
The Tynion is in some people consider him kind of Scott Snyder Jr. Which is fine. Scott Snyder had a tremendous run.
Scott Snyder, by the way, is somebody that I do not want to see take over for Superman.
I do not either. I
love Scott Snyder. I actually liked his New 52 Batman, especially Court of Owls.
You love Court of Owls.
But I don't want to see him do Superman.
No. And based on what he did, he's done in Justice League, based on, Dark Knight's Dark Knight's Metal, and now Death Metal. Well, Superman wasn't in Death Metal #1, but I don't.
I don't want to see Scott Snyder do it. I don't want to see Grant Morrison do it, to be honest.
I've put a lot of thought into this, and
I don't want to see like Scott Lobdell. I don't want to see him do it. But he's already had his chance. He was doing New 52 Superman for a while.
I mean, I think Tom King would be the way to go.
I'll have to read that, but I don't know.
I think Dan Jurgens should do it.
I would love Dan Jurgens.
He already has the experience, and he can just have Superman wake up in his bed next to Lois Lane.
It was all a dream.
Ooh, hey, there's my 11-year-old. Ugh, so angry.
So, I don't... Okay, he wouldn't do it. I would love to see Dan Jurgens come back. He won't do it. I'm sure he's tired of the character.
Right.
Come back.
Now, there are two folks in mind that if they pulled a Brian Michael business and jumped ship from Marvel, I would like to see. I think Ed Brubaker would do a good job.
Dan Slott.
That was my second one. I would love to see Dan Slott do a Superman.
I actually put thought into this.
I would love to see Dan Slott.
I think he could do it. He did a great run on Spider-Man. I read a lot of that.
He had the definitive run of Spider-Man.
Well, another thing is, at the end, near the end of his run, things got a little dicey with the Dr. Octopus stuff.
You mean the Red Goblin?
No, near the end, like the ending years. With,
Okay.
I almost just said One Last Day.
No, that was the 90s.
That was a JMS. I meant the one where it's not Spider-Man, it's Dr. Octopus.
Okay. Superior
Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was a good run.
That's what I've heard.
That's where I started to get dicey.
That was a great run.
I like the idea of it, but I don't like the idea of it. Because Spider-Man is Peter Parker, not Dr. Octopus.
So...
Unless it's Miles Morales.
As far as current DC writers go, I really can't think of anybody that I'd like to see take over Superman.
I mean, in an ideal world, it would be Jeff Johns, but I think he's kind of on the outs with DC.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like the story you mentioned about the Batman Year One or Earth One. I'll believe that when I see it, because I mean, how far back have they pushed back 3 Jokers?
Yeah,
I
and that's
really want to see that.
And that's not going to. I don't think that's going to be considered in continuity.
That did give me an idea for somebody in DC that I think could do a good job. And that would be Jeff Loeb.
Yeah.
Because Jeff Loeb did
Long Halloween.
I'm talking about as far as Superman goes. He has written Superman before, and it was a good one. On that note, though, I think Dave had some questions for us.
Ooh, Q&A.
Yeah, what would you consider some of your favorite Superman storylines?
I'm going to let you go first, because I have thoughts on this.
No, you go first.
No, you go first.
Okay, well, I did think about that because I knew you were going to ask this, and I was like, man, that's a rough one. But I've got a few. One of which I just reread because I was like, I remember really liking this story, but let me read it again just to make sure. And it was the Jeff Loeb story called Superman for All Seasons.
I remember that because I came over and I went, hey, that looks like Long Halloween. It's Superman.
And
hey,
it was literally the same creative team that did Long Halloween.
I might need to read that.
I thought it was really good. I really liked that story. Other than that, I'd have to say a little bit cliche.
Cliches.
But I actually liked the Death of Superman storyline.
Wow, Norm.
And the fallout from it. I actually liked that.
I like the idea
of it. A lot of that has to do with, I think, nostalgia. Because I was heavy into comic books when they announced they're going to kill off Superman. And it was this big event. Like, when you went into the comic book store the day that comic was released, they had like black banners everywhere, and when you bought the comic, you got a black armband, and it was this event.
Yeah.
It was this event. They killed Superman. Oh yeah, they announced it prior to that.
That would have been crazy if they just and now you can't just kill Superman.
It was on. I mean, it was everywhere. It was on the cover of Time magazine.
It was on the news everywhere.
Yeah, it was a huge event. And that was actually after I had stopped reading comics.
See, I wouldn't say in my prime of reading, but it was a heavy time for me reading.
I don't think
I stopped reading because basically my allowance my parents were paying for my comics at the time because I was in like junior high, and it was the summer of the Infinity Gauntlet came out, and there was War of the Gods, the DC had, and so I had subscribed to both of those, and I think the Millennium 2001 series, and I said I want all of the crossovers, and my box got really full, and my parents were like, "You're spending too much money on this." We bought them all, and they're like, "You have to cancel everything." And I love to hold it over their heads the fact that I'm a reluctant reader, and I literally stopped reading for years.
It's all their fault.
Yep.
So it was just a big event, and then you read that, and it's like, well, what are they going to do with that comic book now?
Well,
they killed him. What are they going to do? So I just kept reading, and I was like, this is great storytelling. I love
and
this.
if I remember, for a couple of months, they didn't actually release Action or Superman.
No. But I love that storyline. So there's one, and then gosh, there's so many.
While you're thinking,
nothing from the New 52 will make this list.
Toward the end of the New 52, it got better. I know Jeff Johns, they brought him in to write some of it.
Yeah.
And it did, but he was
Last Son of Krypton is a good one.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's the one where his dad dies. Chris Kent. Oh my gosh.
I'm going
to have to pull that out for you.
I think I'm going to stop there, because that's really all I can think of.
Joey?
I do have some thoughts. Just a quick comment on the death of Superman. If I had been around then, I would have lost it.
People did.
It was pretty shocking. Superman?
There's a really good documentary about Superman. Now, it came out around the time Superman Returns came out.
I just imagine it's
so they interviewed the people who put the Death of Superman together, and one of the writers is this lady, I can't remember her name. Sorry. And she actually got teary-eyed talking about it. It like affected her that much. But so, which ones do you have in mind?
We already know one of them.
One. I have one. That's it. Because I don't read a lot of Superman. I'm gonna be real. I do not read a lot of Superman. I might read some Superman now, but
he basically has read the graphic novels that I own.
Okay.
Which is Last Son of Krypton with Chris Kent and Brainiac, and okay, so that's one. I like Chris Kent. Just because I was a fun character, and I do like... I think that's kind of what ended up making me like John, is I was like, it's baby Superman. And then he had to leave, and that made me sad, and then I come back, and it's baby Superman. But Red Son. I love Red Son, not just because of the whole meme of USSR, woo, but that's a good story. It's not just black and white, America good, communist bad, propaganda. It's shades of gray, and it was so good. The first off, the art was perfect for the story, I would say, and then the storytelling was great. I love how it goes through time. Not like they time travel, but it goes through different periods,
right.
And it shows Superman is this humble, I am this humble Superman. I'm not going to do an accent, never mind. It's just like a humble Superman to, okay, I guess now I'm the leader, to, I'm leader. Time to invade USA, or not. Spoilers, by the way.
So, Red Son is actually one of my favorites too, but I wanted to let him go on.
I love it. I love how they did it. Even just the subtle tweaks of... They brought in Oliver Queen at the end.
Yeah.
Making stupid jokes. They made a joke about Barry Allen being late. apparently there's a Red Sun Deathstroke in the game Injustice. That's not in the comic. I would know because I've read it
A bunch of times.
a lot, maybe too much, but we're not gonna go into that. But Lois Luthor, almost said Lane. Lois Luthor, that was a great character because Lois Lane is Superman. She's Superman's wife or his girlfriend or whatever, and so showing her like that on an opposing team is just weird.
Yeah.
And I think I really like because at some point in it, because Superman narrates it, he says something about like centuries later, a great storyteller wrote of an alternate universe where they got together. I don't understand why anybody liked that, and I just lost it.
It's a good story.
I love that story.
Another storyline I just thought of, and we've talked about it, just didn't pop in my head, is the Earth one. Really like that storyline.
That's a good one. So
let's hear yours. Oh,
so real quick, have you seen the animated
The
film?
Movie.
Oh dear, you shouldn't have brought that up.
No. Stop.
He's seen it.
Stop. I hate it. I don't know if he told you this. The Batman Hush movie.
We had that conversation earlier today.
Yeah, he told you about it. Have you seen it?
I have not.
But he told you how bad it is.
Have you read the Hush book?
I have not.
Okay, it wouldn't make any sense to him.
Oh, so he really likes Hush. He really likes Hush.
I love that storyline.
And then he watched the movie and he cried. He was bawling
It was
like a baby.
Horrible.
He got down on the ground on his knees and went, "No!"
He's being a little dramatic. I didn't.
No, I'm not.
I really did not like that movie. They ruined the entire essence of the Hush character.
That's what happened to me.
Hush wasn't Hush. Let's just make it real simple. Hush wasn't Hush.
Riddler, spoiler alert, but don't go watch the movie.
So, Red Sun, he kind of feels the way about that movie that I felt about the Hush movie.
It sucked. It sucked so much.
See, and I watched it last night and I finished it today on my lunch break.
Have you read the comic?
Years ago. So,
well, I have it fresh in my mind because I just...
Because he reads it all the time.
I do not read it.
I enjoyed the film. I mean,
I think if I didn't like Red Sun so much, I could have let it go.
Right.
But no.
It's the purest in him.
Right. Well,
yeah, like that. His Red Sun movie is my Hush.
Okay, that's
my Hush movie. Because I don't like that they didn't show.
I haven't watched it yet. I keep forgetting.
The strain in the relationship of Lois and Lex. Superior Man sucked. I hated that. They did that all wrong. I don't like...
Tell us how you really feel.
As cool as it was at the end where Lex gets in the big suit to help, no, that's not how he does it. He goes into the ship... Yeah, spoilers, if you haven't read a decade-old comic. He goes into the ship and he hacks Brainiac after Brainiac makes a joke about how humans can't reprogram him, and then he does it, and then no.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so what are your favorite ones?
So, there are two that come to mind, and to me, they're the two that if someone says, "I don't understand Superman," these are the two books I'm going to give them.
Okay.
One of them is All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely.
Okay.
It is nearly perfect. It is a tremendous story. And it also, the animated film based on it is also
I haven't seen
really
that yet.
good. It is excellent.
I haven't seen that yet.
The other one is Superman Secret Origin by Jeff Johns and oh god, he also did the art on Doomsday Clock. I'm forgetting. Anyway, but to me, Secret Origin is beyond a shadow of a doubt the definitive best origin story of Superman ever.
Oh, yes, I love that.
Who did the art?
Gary Frank.
Gary Frank, thank you.
That's such a great comic
Oh,
book.
Gary Frank is an amazing artist.
Oh, I love that one. That one is also in there.
Have you read Doomsday Clock?
No.
It is excellent.
I keep meaning to read Watchmen, and I read it and I go, that's a lot of words.
Oh, yeah. Gary Frank did the artwork for Batman Earth 1.
Yep. Yeah, he did.
But yeah, no, I would like to read Doomsday Clock, but I feel like I should read Watchmen first and not just read the Wikipedia article, and I open the comic book and I go, that's a lot of words.
Yeah, Watchmen is dense, to
Bulky.
put it lightly. But Doomsday Clock is, one, a great sequel to it, but two, especially by the end, it's just incredible. But it's Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, so I mean
That's a great team.
They were on Superman together for a while. They did the Brainiac story arc. They did the Legion of Superheroes story arc. But yeah, those two to me are the absolute
Quintessential.
Quintessential. I mean, there's stuff in All-Star Superman that I will nitpick because my favorite version of Superman is, it's literally Infinite Crisis to Flashpoint. That is my Superman.
Yeah.
And in All-Star Superman, it pulls a lot from. It's got some Golden Age stuff. It's got some Silver Age stuff. But if you want an overarching, I want to understand this character, and I don't want to be bogged down in 80 years of continuity.
Yeah.
You hand them that book.
Yeah. That's a perfect description.
That's
actually.
right. All right, so that ends our discussion of Superman. Except for, we've got our top 5 list coming up.
That was it.
So we're going to take another music break.
Good, because I got to pee.
This song is by a band called Audio Karate. Last year they put out an album called Mallow on Wiretap Records. And this
Great label, by the way.
great label.
Yeah.
And this song is off that album, and it is called Bounce. So enjoy. All right, that was Balanced by Audio Karate. You are listening to Rogue One Radio with Steve, Joey,
Hi.
and Dave. Silky Dave.
We're back.
We're back.
Now make sure that I'm gonna do the little plug-a-roonies for Steve-O here. You can find this awesome podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts.
It is awesome.
You know, Spreaker, that's where it's hosted. That's its home. Lives there. Yeah, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher. It's all over. A bunch of services you've never heard of because no one uses them. Google Play, it's there.
Yeah.
And what are the handles again? It's Rogue, the numeral 1 radio.
Right.
And you can find us on the Twitter.
Yep.
Where else?
Instagram and Facebook.
And Facebook.
We don't have a Snapchat.
I don't think we will not have a Snapchat.
We're going to make Snapchat.
We're not.
I'm firmly of the opinion, unless you were like a famous person, if you were older than a millennial, there's no reason for you to ever be on Snapchat.
I agree.
Yeehaw, I'm not older than a millennial.
All right, so we are moving on to our top 5 lists. Top 5 list for this week is your top 5 favorite Superman villains. So,
villains or just villains?
What?
Villains or just villains?
Villains. What?
Okay.
I don't understand.
You said villains.
No, top 5 villains from Superman. So, we will begin with Joey's number 5.
Number 5, Brian Michael Bendis. You thought I was joking. I was not joking. He is a villain. He should be in every Rogues Gallery. You got Lex Luthor, you got Bizarro, and then you just... Well, technically, Bizarro's not a villain anymore. You got Lex Luthor, you got Zod, and then you got Brian Michael Bendis. I will not change my opinion on this.
Okay, Dave.
Mic drop.
You're number 5.
So I wasn't as prepared as I was, so I'm looking through this list, and it's a toss-up between either Manchester Black...
Well, I didn't even think about him.
Mongol. I think I'm going to go Mongol as my number 5.
He's a chunky boy.
I can see, yeah, Mongol. That's a good villain. That's a good Superman villain.
Yeah. He's got the world.
For my number 5, it was a toss-up, and up until the start of this episode, I was still tossing back between 2. One of them actually was Mongol. But I decided to go with my number 5 being Mr. Mxyzptlk.
He shows up later in my list.
He's a crazy character.
He is the only character.
He puts a dent in Superman's plans often.
You make it sound like Superman's the villain.
Yeah, he's a mess.
Foiled again by Mr.
Mxyzptlk.
Anyway.
What do? You put an M, an X, and a Y, and then you just button mash until it looks good.
All right, next, number 4. Joey.
Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Yeah, him.
Mixie boy.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
My number 4 is also Mr. Missile.
Okay, so our number 4.
Missile launcher.
So their number 4s are identical. He was not high enough to make number 4 of my list. My number 4 is Brainiac.
No, I forgot about him.
He comes up later on my list.
Brainiac's a great Superman villain, too. Now, not the Brainiac that we see on Supergirl.
Well, that's a
that's
a different character.
Legion Brainiac.
But Brainiac, as the villain, Brainiac is just a great Superman villain.
I cannot be.
Joey, number 3.
My number 3 was almost, just about. It's not
Brian Michael Bendis.
It was Brian. It was almost Metallo until it was not.
See, Metallo didn't even make my list.
No, I'm going to say Metallo. Yeah, it's Metallo.
Okay. He didn't make my list.
Yeah.
You're number 3.
Brainiac.
Okay.
And so originally my Brainiac, my number 3 and my number 2 were
interchangeable.
Originally, I mean 30 seconds ago.
Because we come prepared.
But the more I think about it, I really do like this other character, but there will be a caveat with that when we get to number 2.
Okay.
Number 3?
Am I already on number 3 now? Okay,
Man,
my number 3 is General Zod.
Not on my list.
Really?
Interesting. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a special... I don't want to say a special connection, but General Zod, I have a nostalgic
I will find
spot
him.
for because of Superman 2.
I will find him.
I think my favorite version of Zod is actually from Smallville.
I did like him. He was great.
I don't-
Really, I like every iteration of Zod. I even like the one from Man of Steel
I
as
will
he's
find
written,
him.
not as he's portrayed.
Yeah, if he wasn't dipping, it would be fine.
Right. I like every iteration of General Zod that I've seen in the comics, in the movies, TV
Well,
shows.
obviously the comics.
But yeah, Smallville, even that Major Zod, as he started out as.
I will find him.
He was yeah, General Zod, I think. Now, here's the thing. Another, not necessarily as egregious of an error that Bendis made,
Ooh, we're back
but
to
when
that.
he made Zod and Superman friends, I was like,
Aw.
that doesn't make it. No, you don't do that.
I
See, that
think-
didn't bother me.
It bothers me
actually-
just a little. Just a little.
I'll talk about this in a minute. I have some thoughts on it.
How about we not, and you just go to
No,
number 2?
It's too late. Number 2 is Lex Luthor.
He's your number 2, okay.
Because he's crap.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that was a joke.
Apparently a better villain than Brian Michael Bendis. Continue.
Well, Brian Michael Bendis didn't mean to be a horrible person, or he did. We're not. Anyway,
Just because you don't like the way he writes Superman doesn't
he
make him a horrible
aged up
person.
Zod.
These are
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's
So Lex Luthor's your number 2.
because he's Lex Luthor. I mean,
He's Lex Luthor.
he was the villain. I want to say since the beginning, but it's Lex Luthor. He is
He's Lex Luthor.
maybe not perfect adversary, but yeah, Lex Luthor.
He's Lex Luthor.
Thanks for me.
You're number 2.
Darkseid.
Ah!
See, now Darkseid actually did not make my list because I don't see him solely as a Superman villain.
Yeah, he is just.
I don't.
But-
Wonder-
But to put him on the list is fair.
right, and because
Yeah.
I'm looking through like this other list, and I'm looking at these characters, and a lot of them are just characters I literally have no opinion about.
I can see that.
So,
Like Toyman.
Right.
the villainous toy man.
Oh.
Ooh.
So
Yeah, he
yeah,
was in, the
Solomon
Winding Eye.
Grundy. I don't really have an opinion about.
No.
So your number 2 is Darkseid. Okay. Okay.
Steve,
My number 2 is Doomsday.
not on my list.
I'm gonna say
Doomsday
he's 0.
killed Superman.
I'm gonna say he's my number 0 because he is the Superman villain.
he
He did
is,
what Lex Luthor could.
and again, a lot of that could be to do with
Nostalgia.
nostalgia because he killed Superman.
Man, I don't want one of those
Now,
Supermans.
that being said, I did not like the Doomsday in Dawn of Justice.
Oh,
Wrong.
you mean Teenage Mutant Ninja Doomsday?
Yes, did
Does
not
it
like
look
him.
like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the new films.
I did like the Doomsday from Smallville.
There was a Doomsday in
I love
Smallville.
the guy who played him.
Yes.
The way they did that was cool.
Yes.
That actor was phenomenal.
That actor is phenomenal in everything.
He was great
What?
on Supergirl. He was in Riverdale this last season. He was excellent in that.
He played Darth Maul. Or wait a minute, we may be talking about somebody else. Hold on.
No, that's not Ray Park.
No. Sam Witwer.
Yeah, Sam Whitmer did.
Yeah. He wasn't in the movie as Darth Maul.
Okay, I was going to say that was Ray Park. He was
No.
an actual
No.
martial artist.
Sam Witwer did the voice of Darth
Okay.
Maul in
Okay.
Clone Wars and Rebels.
Which you can say the reason why the lightsaber battles in Phantom Menace are
Were
the best
phenomenal.
in the entire saga is because it had an actual martial artist.
I would
Yeah.
say Revenge of the Sith, Mustafar, but whatever.
In any case,
That's good. But,
so Doomsday is my number 2.
I didn't know
Just-
Doomsday was in Smallville.
Yep.
I need to watch that. We have all the CDs, right?
Yeah, we do.
I'm about to.
It's on Hulu if you have Hulu.
We own them. We own the whole set.
Yeah, you can go
true.
buy them. We have the newspaper. and
I do
everything.
as well, but 21st century problems here, right? So, it's a quick side. Sorry. I decided one day, I was like, I'm going to rewatch Alias again. And I've watched the show like 5 times. It's tremendous, all 5 seasons.
Never seen it.
Oh, I know everything's going to happen, and if I start watching it, the world stops until all 5 seasons are done. But so I start watching it on Netflix, but then it's like, oh, it's not going to be on Netflix anymore, but it's on Hulu. And at the time, I still had Hulu with commercials. So because I was just watching Hulu for current TV, and so I start watching Alias with commercials. Like, I can't do this, so I'm like, upgrading. Boom! I own the thing on DVD. I was too lazy to get it out because I'd rather stream it.
Great.
And that is why I am Gen Z.
Yeah.
All right, so we are now up to number 1.
I said I would talk about this. General Zod.
Okay.
Where Doomsday is the Superman villain, I say he's number 0, which means that he's
I
the
have
best.
no problems with General Zod being number 1.
General Zod is... He is literally evil Superman. He has the same abilities, but not the same morals.
Oh, no, not at all.
And I like that. But
General Zod's good.
the thing with General Zod being friends with Superman, maybe not like buddies, like going to the beach on warm day, but I feel like they always had...
They don't go that far. Bendis didn't go that far,
I feel like
but they're on good terms, and I just have a problem
That's
with
what I'm
that.
saying, is I always feel like they had the potential to be allies, because they are the last sons of Krypton.
Okay.
They are Krypton.
It bothers me.
You know what
it
else
bothers
bothers you is everything.
Pretty much. Okay, you're number 1.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
My number 1 as well, Lex Luthor. You can't have Superman without Lex Luthor.
Yes, you can if you have...
Unless
General
it's Jesse
Zod.
Eisenberg, and then you can just throw that
Then
all
you
away.
can have multiple Lex Luthors. We could have more Lex Luthor.
hate Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Okay, it's a very short scene, but the end credit scene in Justice League with him on the boat, it's fantastic.
I love who they casted as
I guess.
Deathstroke.
I just...
Jesse.
See, as much as I think Lex Luthor is the best Superman villain, I am not married to any one iteration of that character. So,
Michael Rosenberg.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's the best. Okay, I say that with a caveat. He is easily the best that there's ever been.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when I started reading comics, it was... I grew up on Super Friends, so I had that idea of Lex Luthor in my head.
Okay.
Then I read, Crisis on Infinite Earths, which has 2 Lex Luthors in it, but the Lex Luthor is in many ways the same Lex Luthor from Super Friends.
Yeah.
And then I read, John Byrne's Man of Steel, and that was, I mean, he was a fat guy. He still had hair. And because he was a businessman and not a scientist, and so I've seen a lot of different versions. I was never really impressed with Gene Hackman's. He's fine. Kevin Spacey was fine. I mean, he was basically doing a Hackman.
He did a better version of Hackman.
Yeah, Rosenbaum. Yeah, Michael Rosenbaum, who I met. I've met.
That's
him
right. You were at the Dallas Star
Fan Expo.
Yeah,
I met him and Tom Welling. Both very nice gentlemen. Michael Rosenbaum especially, he was super nice. If you've never listened to his podcast, it's very good.
Just another podcast we got to put on there.
Yeah,
you know what podcast we've been listening to lately?
Literally.
It's called Literally
with
Rob Lowe.
His first episode is with Chris Pratt.
His first, yeah.
That's fantastic.
You've got to check it out. If you've not checked out Literally
Go listen
with
to that.
Rob Lowe,
It is
great.
literally.
That's excellent.
It's great.
But speaking of Parks and Rec, the Parks and Rec special,
It made me cry.
Was amazing.
It was great.
The ending
It's great.
made me cry.
But
So so Michael Rosenbaum is a nice guy.
yes,
That's good to know.
He's a super nice guy. His Lex Luthor is fantastic. In the finale, when he shows up and he runs into Clark, and the way Clark says Lex, and he says, I always like the way you say that with something like disdain but a hint of hope. They were so incredible.
Such a great dynamic between those two.
And I like the way he was portrayed in Birthright. I like the way he was portrayed in Secret Origin. I'm very confused in current DC continuity because
he's a good guy.
Not anymore.
He's not a good guy anymore. Baloney.
He was. I mean, he and Superman in the beginning of the Dan Jurgens run were working side by side.
Yeah.
Oh, so
But then,
so another thing Bendis screws up.
well, no. Actually, it's Scott Snyder does this one because it's through the Justice League.
Oh,
and Perpetua,
that's right.
and who is
Apex Lex, yeah.
Yeah, who's the mother of the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor and the World Forger.
They have a mom.
Yeah, and
who's the dad?
It's all who knows. It's
It's
all
Lex.
Dark
it's all
side.
weird. Yeah. So at some point, Lex became a villain, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, I collect Superman books. I collect Justice League. When did this happen? I'm literally confused. I'm like, what did I miss?
I think that's the point of it. Is it kind of just like?
And I think it just happened.
I think it's because he was looking for Perpetua. I think.
Right, but
so she kind of like.
But I mean, what are your thoughts about the Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor?
He's great.
I actually liked him.
Ha
I did
Huzzah.
because it was a very, again, it's an adaptation. It's a very different take. And I thought Eisenberg did a really great job playing a very neurotic millennial character.
See, it's the thing is, I don't see Lex Luthor as, to use your word, neurotic. I don't see him as insane. He's just diabolical.
It depends on, I mean, which version could have
In
definitely
Red
argued.
Sun.
The Lex Luthor that I identify
purist.
with.
Like
Lex
the
Luthor.
post-Crisis on Infinite Earth Lex Luthor, almost did it again.
He's not a professional wrestler.
No.
He's not.
And that man did not age well. His health is bad. Anyway, the Luthor of the Silver Age, in a lot of ways, was at times was insane, and in the Bronze Age was kind of crazy. But I don't know. You get the feeling in that he was definitely somebody who grew up in an abusive family.
Yeah.
So, and when you come from Smallville and you watch this whole abusive relationship with Lionel Luthor, that to me tracks a little bit.
I liked Lionel Luthor in Smallville.
Oh, Lionel was.
Thank you for
Oh,
coming
yeah.
to my TED
He was great.
Talk. You know who's not a good Lex
If you compare the Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor to the Michael Rosenbaum Lex Luthor,
No.
he falls very, very short.
He falls.
Yeah.
He trips over the bar.
But
no, it's
it's in a lot of ways it's a very unfair comparison. You were talking about a 2.5 hour movie versus 6-7 years of development.
Yeah,
I
I'm sorry, you're not going to convince me.
No, that's
I
fair.
hate the Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor.
But I think the ending when they finally do shave his head, he looks
like Lex Luthor.
right.
Still looks too young.
But if he
That's
looks
bad.
about the same age as Superman in those movies. I
Eh,
mean,
gotta
Superman's
give him
33 ish.
Honestly, he looked like a teenager to me.
He's not.
Yeah, but he's
Not
but I
Superman.
See, the other thing is, I really liked Jesse Eisenberg in Adventureland
What about
Okay.
Zombieland?
and Zombieland. Also, great movie.
I need to watch
tremendous
that.
I mean, Adventureland. The movie opens up with a freaking Replacement song, so I'm
Already he's going to love it, yeah.
yeah. But if you haven't seen Adventureland, it's tremendous.
Man, he's giving me a viewing list.
So,
You know who else?
that
good? I don't
is...
like. The Supergirl, Lex Luthor. I don't like him.
John Cryer. Oh, I love him.
I don't.
I like him.
I think
I
it's
like him a lot better than the Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor.
I think I started off not liking him because he was perfect down to here. He
I like the
can't.
beard.
I don't.
See,
He's supposed to be bald. He
when
is
it-
bald.
when he first came out, when they first announced it, I was like, no, not Ducky.
Ducky
So
Dale.
that bothered me at first, and then the more I watched, I was like, he's not really doing a bad job as Lex.
No,
But-
and he knows the character.
He does know the character.
And he's truly trying
You can-
to make up for what he was in the Superman movie in Quest for Peace, because he played the sidekick.
He
in
played the
that.
sidekick of Lex Luthor.
Um,
But yeah, I think if I had to take a guess, he did read some of the source material.
oh yeah,
I don't know.
and he was just tremendous in Crisis on Infinite Earths
But-
in the crossover show.
I don't
Right, right.
know.
But when you first hear Ducky, come
Yeah.
on now.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Ducky is a character that John Cryer played in the movie Pretty in Pink. It's a John Hughes film with one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. It is phenomenal.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's better than Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's Pretty in Pink.
Pretty in Pink is the
It's a chick flick.
unbelievable. I mean, it's a romantic comedy.
No.
It's a coming of age romantic comedy.
John Hughes has done some really good
Yeah, but
Breakfast
not that.
Club.
stuff. Yeah.
Pretty in Pink. Have you seen Pretty in Pink?
No.
No, he has never watched Pretty in Pink.
I don't watch
He
Chick
cannot
flicks.
have an opinion on Pretty in Pink.
Well, I also.
I don't think he's watched Breakfast Club either.
I need to.
I wonder, has nothing to do with anything else we're talking about, but I wonder how well those movies translate to new generations.
I'll
be
watch
interested
shows.
to find out.
I'll watch
Very
shows. I'm gonna
80s.
have to do a big long essay for Twitter and be like Breakfast Club.
All right, folks. So we have talked your ear off. This is by far the longest episode of Rogue One Radio that we have done.
All of them.
It
are
was
pretty
fun.
long.
It was great having Dave on the show with us.
Thank you for having me. And they fed me great fajitas for dinner. It was a wonderful evening.
We really
we
need to
did
do
drive
another
them.
episode with you. If you, I mean, obviously, if you don't want to drive all the way out here, we can do it via Skype. Definitely need to have you back for our Justice League episode.
Oh boy.
Can we talk about that?
That's gonna be some fun times.
And then maybe whenever it comes, if we ever get Wonder Woman 1984, we should have you on and talk about that.
That's a trash can.
I love Wonder Woman so much.
That Wonder Woman movie was so good.
They did it
So
all
good.
perfectly. Wonder Woman, perfect.
Hey, can we get Patty Jenkins to make the next Superman movie?
There you go.
Is that the one that?
Yeah.
She directed, yeah.
But okay, so that's it
I also-
for this episode. Again, thanks Dave for coming on, and thank you for listening to Rogue One Radio. And as he said earlier, catch us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram at Rogue #1 Radio.
And you can
And,
find me at Oklahoma Lefty.
That's right. You can find him on the
social
Twitters
medias.
at Oklahoma Lefty.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all
Yep.
that good stuff.
OklahomaLefty.com
So I need to update that more often.
does
but,
that.
If
And
you
then
if you want to find me, you're gonna have a hard time.
you are. If you want to find just me on Twitter, it's Otter272. And with that, we bid you adieu. Thanks for listening.